so let's continue. We got the curve infos already made, so let's start connecting up all the stretchy nodes and then get everything connected and make this happen. I'm excited. Let's do it. So what we're going to be using is the hypershade. So we'll go rendering hypershade. And we'll also be using the connection editor. So go Window, General Editors, Connection Editor. And again, I had to kind of size all this down because I'm working on a really low resolution. See, I can even grab the bottom. There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, you see you have all your different texture nodes in here. And down at the bottom you also have utility nodes. So the one that we're going to be using is the multiply divide node. So let's go ahead and create it. So you have multiply divide here, and if we double click on it, you can see that we go into our attribute editor, which this is also important to be using for setting up all the connections. We need to see this. So first we can change this to divide, and I'll explain why in a little bit after we get everything connected. And next we need to load everything else into our work area. And as you can see, I'm not showing my materials and the work area. I'm just showing the work area. So that's all we need. We just need the work area to show our connections and whatnot. So while we're in here, let's go find all our IK joints. And let's get all that in here. So we're going to select all the IK joints except for the last one. We don't need the last one. And then what we also should grab while we're in here is all of these bound joints, because these are going to get scaled as well. So let's go ahead and grab all these guys. And then go graph, add selected to graph. So these are all our bound joints here. And these are all our IK joints here. Alright, beautiful. It looks like I'm missing 8. Let's see, there he is. Okay. I thought one looked bigger than the other. Okay, cool. We got everything. Alright. So now what we need is also those curve infos. So let's select those. Yeah, I got them. The RibbonRig curve infos. And go up to graph, add selected to graph. There we go. Okay, so this is what your workspace should look like in the hypershade. We got all our joints on one side, our multiply divide in the middle, and then our 2 curve infos. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select this guy, our first curve info. We should show the name. There we go. See, it's the first curve info. And we're going to reload that right. And then we're going to select the second curve info. And we're going to reload that right. Or we're going to reload the multiply divide right. That's right. Okay, so go click on the arc length and click on 1x. Okay. Gonna select the second RibbonRig curve info. Reload that. Click on its arc length and click on 2y. Okay. So in the attribute editor, that's what it should look like. Actually, what we want is for the 7.312, which is the curve length, to be up on top. So let's click on the 2Y to get rid of that, and click on 1Y, so that we have one on top and one on the bottom. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, reload the multiply divide in our left in the connection editor. We're going to open up its output, and then the output X is what's going to be plugged into our IK X scale, so that we're getting it to scale on the length of the joint. And then our output Y is going to be connected to the X and Y of our bound joints, so that we get that really nice squash and stretch quality to the rig as it's deforming. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to load the first IK joint here, go down to its scale, make sure you have output X on, and connect it into its scale X. And then just reload the next joint, scale X, reload next joint, scale X, and keep doing that until we're all the way through all the IK joints. Okay. And we got to make sure that this is the divide, of course. And now we can start connecting these guys in. So let's reload the left, and then we'll reload the right, Y and Z, Y and Z, Y and Z. Okay, let's continue this. So next one, Y and Z, Y and Z, Y and Z, Y and Z, and our last guy, Y and Z. Okay, so let's go look at the model and make sure everything is going good. And it looks like we got a little bit of a problem here. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so obviously I connected something wrong in here, and I know what it is. So this is a good example of why you want to do test rigs in just a clean scene like this without any character. You know, we don't want the character to just be totally stretched out and we don't really know what's going on, and it'd be harder to look through the scene hierarchy and find out how to fix this. So I know how to fix this now, so let's do it. So I'm going to double click on him, and this is the problem right here. What I did is I need to break this connection, and so what we want is, let me open up our connection editor again and reload this guy in the right, the multiply divide. We want the arc length to be in the 1x and the 2y, and that's our first curve info. And then our second curve info, we want it to be in the arc length to go to the 1y and the 2x. Okay, now that should have fixed our problem, and you can see it did. Alright, cool. So now it should be stretching and squashing accordingly. We don't really have any geometry in there to prove it just yet. So basically what the multiply divide node does is we took our arc length and plugged it in, our first arc length, and we plugged it into the 1x and the 2y, and then our second curve length into the 2x and the 2 and the 1y. And so what that does is it's saying that whenever it goes over this number, it's going to divide and scale. So it's going to send that dividing algorithm over to the bones and scale them correctly. And then thus accordingly, if you go below 7.312, then it'll scale them correctly to squash and to scale that way the bones. And so that's how that works. As you can see, we connected it into the bones itself. So the next step in this is to first hide our DAG objects, just to kind of clean up our scene here. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go back into my front, because this is where I drew my original bone chain throughout here. And maybe what we'll do is just cut it off from here, and I'll do all the cleanup and the connecting in the next video. So look for the next video.